Welcome back to another episode of Fix Your BS, where we talk about belief systems and how they relate to 5 key areas of life. We call them the pillars. Those are relationships, money and finances, career and business, health and faith. And we're going to talk a little bit today about somebody who has hit multiple levels, let's say, in those areas. I'm so excited that we have him today. So I'm going to go over a quick bio here. So we got 15 years ago, a job loss, left Jeff with no plan, no money, and no direction. But he excelled at one thing, building relationships. Leveraging this skill, Jeff has now built over 5 8-figure companies. That's right. I said 5 8-figure companies, befriending icons like Shaquille O'Neal, Brees, Neil Patel, and many more. His revelation, your network is your net worth. I love that statement, by the way. As the author of his new book and bestseller, Relationship Bank Account, which I purchased recently, Jeff is now using his expertise in business and relationships to help others do the same exact thing. He just released a podcast called The Jeff Fenster Show. It was syndicated with entrepreneur.com, where Jeff interviews many of his good friends to uncover the formula that has brought them success so that his audience may learn from these incredible guests to be able to improve their day-to-day lives, which is why I wanted you on here. Jeff now spends most of his time on his health, running his 5 companies, a podcast show, speaking all over the world, as well as being a husband and dad to his 2 daughters. He's a girl dad, he says, on his Instagram. Get ready to discover your formula to success with Jeff Fenster. Man, I really appreciate you being here and providing value to my audience. You're awesome. Thanks again, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm genuinely honored and excited to come on your show. Mutual friends introduced us, and now I'm a fan of you and what you're trying to do, and I love your 5 pillars. I think that's foundational success principles right there, and it's an absolute honor and privilege to come on. So thanks for having me.
Well, man, you've achieved such great success, and a lot of times, people don't really know the steps. They get frustrated, they get stuck, which is where the whole fix your belief systems thing, because I believe that your belief systems cause your thoughts, which cause your emotions, which cause your actions, which cause your life, your result. So one of the questions I always like to ask is really about success. What is success to Jeff?
Very simple for me. Success is freedom. That's what I mean when I say success. If I am successful, it means I have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want. Now, inside of that, you say, well, Jeff, how does freedom tie to being a successful dad? Well, it's a good question, right? So the next layer of success means, most people think of success, then I answer it that way because they think of it financially. And then I don't need to make $1 trillion, $1 billion, $1 million, or $1,000. I need to have the financial freedom to do what I want when I want. I need to have the next layer of success for me is making sure that I have achieved the best version of whatever output I can create. So if I'm building a company, is this the best version that I can put into it today? And I use the word remarkable instead of success. I strive for remarkability in everything I do, and that is the best version of me today I can accomplish. And so I've combined those 2 things. Financially, success is freedom. In everything else, it's remarkable. Can I be a remarkable dad? Can I be a remarkable husband? Can I be a remarkable friend? Can I be a remarkable blank, right? And that's what we strive for.
That's awesome, man. What a great definition. I noticed, as I interview people for this podcast, the successful people that we interview generally have a very similar idea about success, and they don't really tie it to money. And I used to think success was financial as well, but now I realize that the financial success or the financial, the wealth that comes with the success is really more about providing value to others. Did you have that realization? Did you make that transition from like hustling for money to finally figuring out, well, maybe if I just provide value, then the money comes? Was there a transition there? How'd that come about?
There was. I mean, my younger days, when I was broke and a young dad trying and struggling and living paycheck to paycheck, I was chasing and wanted to be a millionaire. And I was chasing money. And through that experience, I came to the realization, what happens when you chase an animal? It runs.
It runs
What
away.
happens when you chase a boy or a girl? They run. So what happens? What do you think is going to happen to money if you chase it? you're going to force it to run. You're not going to realize the things you're doing that are causing you to not receive it. And I use sports because I played sports my whole life, and I was a baseball player. This applies to golf, anything where you're going to hit something, kick something, hit something. And for those who don't play sports, I'm sorry for the analogy, but just bear with me. If you're going to hit a baseball and you swing as hard as you can to the point that the bat hits the ball and stop, you actually don't hit the ball very hard. But when you talk to the best hitters in the world, the best golfers, Tiger Woods, they're swinging the club, they're swinging the racket, they're swinging the bat. Regardless of a ball, the ball just happens to get in the way. And so they're not hitting a ball. They're swinging, right, realizing that their hand is going to, and their eye is going to connect with it, and it's going to go. And they hit it so much further than us because they're not hitting a ball. They're swinging their swing. And I use that analogy because when you switch that over to making money, when you do the things that attract money, attract success, attract relationships, regardless of the immediacy of the outcome, over the long run, you're going to just end up hitting the ball further and further and further. You're going to have so much more success. So to answer your question, yes, leading with value and doing things that inspire and empower others has enabled me to make more money over the years. And once I made my first $1 million many years ago, and I realized it didn't fill my cup up. Actually, what filled my cup up was the value side. That pivot is when it all changed. Because by making that pivot, I went from making $1 million to making tens of millions of dollars. And financially, that's great. And my cup is more fulfilled because emotionally and spiritually, I feel better because I'm helping more people and I'm having more fun. And I'm not tying my success or my value in the world to some quantifiable amount of money in a bank account.
That is, wow, what a great definition of success and not chasing money. I heard a similar story. It says, what happens if you chase a butterfly? The butterfly flies away. But what happens if you plant a butterfly garden where the flowers come up and attracts the butterflies? Well, that's what you're really saying. You're saying lead with purpose, lead with the goal to serve as many people as possible, and then the finances come. I think that's so hard for people, especially in the belief system side in the beginning. I know it was for me until I made over $1 million. When I was considered a multimillionaire, all of a sudden I went, wait a minute, I thought this would be different. I thought I would have more time and more freedom. And I actually had to get a buddy of mine, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. I read his book about entrepreneurship and doing exactly what you're talking about, which is all about how can I create a life that is fulfilling and successful in all these pillars, and also financially gives me the choices and options that I want. So, 5 businesses doing 8 figures a year, man, that's remarkable. That's above remarkable. How did you get to the point of being able to live the life you want to live and also develop 5 businesses doing 8 figures?
Well, I think they're congruent, right? They're not different. So this is where a lot of people, you hear this, do what you love, chase your passion, live in your passion. There's a lot of truth to that. And to a lot of people, they go, well, that's easy, but I got to pay bills. True. So find what you can make money doing that you absolutely love, and it lights your hair on fire. Because if you have a job, you're going to lose. You're going to lose to someone like me who's competing with you in your industry, who doesn't look at it as a job. My issue is balance, right? So when I'm doing Everbowl, for example, I blink, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't go home for dinner. I didn't go see my kids. And my wife's upset and my kids are upset because they're like, Dad, where are you? And it's not because I don't want to hang out with them. It's because I'm just so ingrained in what I'm doing. I love what I do. Just like when I'm playing with my daughter, I don't go, oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock. Let me stop playing with my daughters now. It's like same thing. I'm ingrained in it. So it might be 7, 8 o'clock at night and I forgot to send emails and I forgot to do this because I love what I'm doing. And so I'm not suggesting that my company is the same as a child, because it's not. I love my children more, but I love what I do in entrepreneurship. I love being a serial entrepreneur. I love impacting and inspiring and empowering and growing and building companies so much that when I'm doing it, I don't punch a clock. I don't care what day of the week it is. I'm not needing a vacation from my life. I'm living my life every day, all day, and trying to be remarkable at it and use my 5 core values and my 5 success principles to get me there, because it's allowed me to achieve that success. So the fact that I have 8, I don't currently have 5 8-figure companies. I sold a few of them, but at my peak, in totality, I've had 5 companies that do over 8 figures a year. That's just a result. That's just the back of a baseball card. I'm working to do a 9-figure in one of my companies right now. And that's what's one of my goals. Again, is it the only goal? No, I know how to get there. And so I just think the key thing for a lot of humans that are struggling is they split their life from work as these two different things. You only live once. If you hate what you're doing and you're showing up and spending 40, 50, 60 hours a week doing something that you don't like, that you need a vacation from, change what you're doing.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Now, what's interesting is so many people, especially like that I work on with one-on-one or in my groups, they're so fearful of change, so fearful. And so when you just say that, like, I know a lot of people listening on this podcast that's going to make them cringe, where you say, man, just if you don't like it, change it. Right. Yep. But they're more afraid of the potential of the change than the current situation that they don't like. And so what happens is they just grit and deal with it. And I always say, man, the future's you're headed for the future. What if you don't plan for it, if you don't like what you're doing now and you keep doing that, you're going to end up somewhere you don't like. So do you have any tips, tricks, I don't know, any insight into fear and how you deal with that? Because I know it comes up occasionally, but how do you deal with that?
I do. So number one, I'm going to negate all the excuses. So I graduated law school to be a sports agent, had a job with Lee Steinberg's sports agency, and had 6 figures in law school loans, a fiance and a daughter. I had a daughter in law school. I'm 24 years old, and I'm having to do some assignments for work, and I realize I'm going to have to travel the world representing grown-ups. I'm never going to be home, and I'm never going to get to be the dad I wanted to be. So I quit. Told my dad that day, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to be a lawyer either. So I have this law degree and I ain't going to use it. And I went and got a sales job. And I got a sales job and I was the number 1 sales rep 6 months in, making 6 figures. And I bought a house and me and my fiance and daughter moved in. I'm still 24 years old. And I'm thinking this is great. And over a $17,000 discrepancy on a bonus that they made me wait 6 months for, I quit that job and sold my house and moved my fiance and daughter into my parents' house and started my first company out of my mom's kitchen. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to show you that I had a wife or a fiance, a daughter, a mortgage, and law school loans, and I still quit all these things because it wasn't right for me. And I want to explain that because my dad tried to tell me that I don't have the privilege to chase these crazy dreams when I was doing these things. He sat me down as my father and he said, Jeff, you have a kid. You have a responsibility to do these things. And he was right, except he was wrong in the application. And there was a long-winded way to get to this point. Because I turned to him and said, Dad, you're right. I have a daughter. I have to show my daughter that I'm going to do everything I can to be the best version of myself and achieve all my dreams, because that's going to enable her to do the same thing. If I show her that being an adult means you trade in your dreams for a dead-end job or a job you don't like just to pay bills because you have children, I'm showing her a life of settling. And children reflect what their values that their parents show. It's like if you're in a house where your parents are alcoholics, the child's more likely to be an alcoholic. If you're in a house where the parents are obese, the child's more likely to be obese. If you're in a house where the parents are active and healthy, the child's more likely to be active and healthy. So I wanted to create a household where the parents try to be the best version of themselves and chase their dreams. And I say chase, but run towards and pursue their dreams with all of their effort. And
that's awesome.
That's what I wanted to teach her. And if that meant that we were going to be a little poorer first and it was going to be a little harder, so what? I'll work 2 jobs to do it, but I wasn't going to settle. And so if you're sitting on the sideline afraid, you're settling, and you only get to live once. This is your masterpiece. No one can do the walk for you, but just remember, whatever job you have, unless it's a once in a lifetime job, in which case you don't want to leave it, you can always go get another one. So go try to do what you need to do. Do what lights your hair on fire, because you and me both talk about success. My podcast is all about success formulas because I believe success is formulaic. I'll be successful whatever I do because I apply my success formula. I think you do the same. And successful people tend to have this innate or quantifiable success formula that they use. Success in one area of life, but not being successful in all areas of life does not mean you're successful. If I was completely out of shape, unhealthy, obese, but making millions of dollars, I'm not successful. If I'm the specimen of health, but I'm dead broke, I'm not successful. If I don't have healthy relationships, I'm not successful. If I don't have a healthy connection with my spirituality or whatever it is that you want to call it, I'm not successful. So you use your 5 pillars, and I think that that's right. Those pillars are the foundations of success. And so you've got to treat your whole life as, are you successful? Are you pursuing your best version of you in every single area? And if you do that, the fear is irrelevant, right? We're all scared. There's always trepidation. I mean, I'm scared all the time about half the things I do. And some of them don't work. But so what? That's part of the journey.
Do it anyway. Yeah. Do it anyway. Be
some don't work.
Yeah. And because if they all work out, you're like, oh, I'm invincible. But, step into the arena anyway, right? You feel the fear. That just tells you you're doing something right. That's the way I look at it. When I'm afraid, I'm like, ooh, I'm becoming a better version of myself, because otherwise I wouldn't feel that fear. Now, something that you mentioned that I'm so excited about, and I hope everyone understands that I didn't understand this until 2019. Your network is your net worth. The network that you build around yourself, you get to these levels, I call them levels, where you get up to a level and all of a sudden it opens the door to the network that's at that level. And then you keep using your skills, you step into that fear and you get up to the next level. And all of a sudden it's like there's a vibrational energy that other people that are in the same level can feel and go, oh, you and I are very similar. And so there, you have developed obviously the Network to Millions playbook. So can you talk about that for a second? Because I'm so excited about that. I'm going to dive into that here soon, and I hope everyone else does the exact same. But tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm an ordinary guy. I don't have remarkable intelligence. I'm not 6'5". I don't hit a baseball out of Petco Park. Just a 5'9" normal dude. But I figured out how I could accumulate tremendous success. And it's an old adage. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And so in my book, I explain and teach how I've been able to step into industries with zero experience and immediately be at the top of them, whether it's in the restaurant space with Everbowl, my digital marketing agency with Neil Patel. I can work and go build in my construction company, go partner and build for Shaquille O'Neal. I can have Drew Brees be a partner. I can get onto all the podcasts and platforms. My podcast, which is brand new, got syndicated by Entrepreneur. All of these milestones, all of these achievements, it sounds great. The truth is, it's just a byproduct of who I know. And so it's not what I know, and it's not because I'm special. It's because I have the right group of friends. And so I teach how you lead with value, and I explain it like this. Most people think of networking as exchange business cards, and maybe I'll do business with you, maybe I won't. That's not it. I make friends with every single person I can. I try to lead with value. And when you make friends with enough people, those friends support you. And so you do what's called making deposits into your relationship bank account with people, and you do that by helping them, growing their interest, trying to do something to add value to their lives, what I call making a deposit. Think of it like a bank account. So if every time I called you, I was just asking for favors, it was always about me, I never got to know you, I never asked you questions, I would be making what's called withdrawals. And you'd be like, yeah, Jeff, he's kind of not the coolest guy in the world, and that would be the end of it. But if I know 2 things about you, 3 things about you, and I find ways to incorporate that or come back to you and say, hey, you know what? I see those guitars behind your head. So I ask you about it. And maybe you're a big guitarist and your favorite guitarist is so-and-so. And maybe I know so-and-so. And so I connect you with them, and then you get to do a jam session. You think I'm pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. I know we have a mutual friend, Ryan, and you're going to be golfing with him. You're going to go to the event, and maybe we all hang out and we all go to dinner and we further support our relationship. All of a sudden, you really like me. And you're like, hey, that guy Jeff's really cool. As I'm navigating my world and you're navigating your world, I've A, earned the right to call you and ask a favor, or B, you're just naturally going to know what I'm doing in my life and say, hey, Jeff's got his podcast. I think this person would be such a great guest for Jeff. And you're going to send me a message, and boom, I'm going to get this awesome human to come on my show. Whether it's a Shaquille O'Neal or someone that no one knows their name, that doesn't matter, right? I treat them the same. And so by building this network, it allows my net worth to grow. So when I started a digital marketing agency, I got introduced to Neil Patel from a mutual friend, and we became partners. And now I'm partnering with the best digital marketer in the world. When I started my restaurant chain and I needed to get access to a big platform, my friends really helped support me. The ones that had big platforms and big stages, Dan Fleischman's and Roland Frazier's and all of these gentlemen and women, Jen Gottlieb's, and all of these superstars that have these enormous followings, they supported me, and when my show goes live, they all help me. And so when entrepreneurs looking for the next entrepreneur, there's a million entrepreneurs that have built 8-figure companies. That's not nothing special, but because I have these relationships, Now it's like, well, they're starting to say, hey, this guy knows everybody and they all vouch for him. They all seem to like him. He must be real. And so to your point of vibrancy that comes from it, people are starting to say, hey, you know what? This guy's serious. This guy, what he's doing has got some seriousness to it. He's not fly by night. He's built sustainable relationships. He's validated by third parties, people that we respect in the industry. And now I'm better and I haven't even done anything yet. Right? So it's a lot, but my book teaches how you actually build these relationships. And I give you very, very basic information that everyone can apply tomorrow. You don't need to have any money to do it. LinkedIn hired me a couple of years ago to do a course on this very topic. The course turned into the book, and the book turned into the PDF, the free Network to Millions playbook. That it's just a couple page of PDF. It just is a freebie to get everyone started. But I demonstrate how I built serious businesses off the backs of who I know, not what I know. And I'm talking companies that I exited for big numbers. And if I come into your industry, I assure you, I'm going to use my relationship capital to take the elevator to the top of the industry. And you may be better than me. You may have been in the industry for much longer than me, but I might beat you simply because of who I know. So the way you protect yourself and grow is by building that network, making friends with every single person you can, regardless of whether or not you think they add immediate value to you, and lead your life by this outward feeling of building these relationships, quality, real relationships, not what can you do for me, but instead, what can I do for you?
Man, you hit that nail on the head. I was going to say that so many people work on what can you do for me principles. You know, hey, can I get a favor? You got a minute? Can you help me out? But depositing those little, hey, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Just making sure it's selfless in nature just adds towards that, you know, and so many people go into relationships or networking trying to get something. Give me a call. Here's my card. Whatever. It's like, man, hey, what can I do for you in this moment? Is there somebody I can connect you with? What are you into? What are your daughters about? That's actually, so you talked about Ryan. We connected because we were talking about one of his kids, you know, and yeah, he's done amazing things in business and he's got a lot of following and whatever, but it had nothing to do with any of that. It was a mutual connection. And I've actually met people at networking events that I've not done anything with. They might have been very successful. It was like, you know, this doesn't feel right. There's not a mutual connection there. Secondly, don't downplay your Network to Millions playbook, because I've downloaded it. And yeah, it's not very long, but it doesn't have to be very long to actually be extremely impactful. And it is extremely impactful. If people get this playbook, it's a free playbook. You can get it by going to jefffenster.com, or you can actually right now text Jeff to 33777. So Jeff, Jeff, to 33777, and you'll get it. Or go to jefffenster.com. You scroll to the bottom, you can download it. It's like 5 pages long, but every page is packed with just very simple, easy to follow tasks. Something I tell people a lot. Most things are very simple. They just make them hard. They make things hard. You know, they try to force it. So
we don't understand why it's so simple. It feels like it should be harder, otherwise everyone would do it. But the difference is most people just don't do it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And really, it's that spirit of giving to somebody and trying to take time to connect with them. You know, relationships develop over time. That's one of the things in the 5 pillars. The relationship pillar, it's a give, it's a selfless act, it's a connection of other people in your network, and it takes time. You make those deposits. You don't go in and deposit $1 million the same way you don't go in to a business and make $1 million in a day. You deposit little things that add up over time, and you're so right with that. Over the last 4 years, I've been able to develop one heck of a network simply because of that. You show up, you really look into the other person and how you can serve them, and then you just keep them in your mind and deposit it over time. But I'm not going to give away everything that you talked about here in this Millionaires Playbook, but I'm telling you, man, it's way more exciting. I hope everybody that listens to this goes to that website or texts you and downloads it for sure. Because it's very simple stuff.
And I'll be honest, I can tell you I've made probably 85% of all the money I've ever made in my life as a result of who I know and how I built this network. And it's attributable to the majority of my success is the friends I have today and the ability to walk in those circles and have access to that opportunity flow, that deal flow, and that expansion and exposure to new ideas and get pushed. And I strive for it daily. And if you don't recognize the power of this, you have to go invent something like Mark Zuckerberg did with Facebook. Like, you've got to create this once in a generation type product. Otherwise, if you don't have that, you have to build your network. And there's no better time than 20 years ago or today. So if you've got a time machine, go back 20 years. Otherwise, start right now.
I'm telling you right now, though, it's so much easier nowadays to build a network because you can access people.
Right.
You know, I saw you get connected with somebody that I know, and then I was able to Instagram message you. I mean, that's how quick it is. You can do that. Now, a lot of people are afraid. I don't know what to say. I don't know if they'll even see it. Well, I can guarantee you, if you don't send anything, they ain't going to see it. And secondly, if you're afraid to do it and you do it and you're like, oh, what are they going to think? Well, that's up to them. It has nothing to do with you. You know, I want to connect with you. Be honest, be authentic, be sincere. I want to connect with you. It's that simple. That's why I texted you, man. Hey, man, I saw you're hanging out with Ryan. He's a buddy. I'd love to connect. Is there any way we can do a podcast together? And voila, here we are a few weeks later, and we're on. And that's how simple it really is. It's just going in with the right attitude. I didn't try to get anything. I was trying to give. I'm trying to get you attention because you have an amazing product. You have an amazing history of success. And I want to be able to share that with as many people as possible. And ultimately, we have the same goal. And that goal is to help as many people live better lives as possible. And that's what we do. So,
right,
man, I love this. You're coming, you're going to be speaking. Obviously, you speak all over the place, but you're going to be at Ryan Pineda's WealthCon in October of 2023. And I hope everybody will buy tickets to that as well. It's going to be an amazing event. If you want to learn how to be wealthy, not make money, not chase money. If you want to learn how to develop a wealthy habits, be a wealth of character, that's the room you need to be in, because people will, you get to network with other people. There's over 1,000 people there that you can hang out with and learn from in order to develop that for yourself. And I guarantee you, every successful person I've ever met is kind enough, if you just approach it the right way, they're kind enough to say, yeah, I'd love to help you. I can guide you. I can give you some information. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. It's amazing. It's kind of like, if you pre-social media, it was the pretty girl syndrome, where in a bar, the pretty girl no one goes up to because they're intimidated. And so she's the loneliest one. And I don't mean that in the physical sense. I mean it now in the same sense, where it's like, just because someone's made a lot of money or had a lot of success, don't not go up to them, because they're more likely the loneliest one in the room because everyone's intimidated, you know? And so be that person, go up to them and say hi, you know? Or I'll be honest, I'm not the most famous human being in the world, but I love it when someone who has either followed one of my companies or knows something, has advice for me, has feedback, has a compliment, has criticism. I don't care. I want it all. Come up to me. Hey, you know what? I tried your Everable and it sucked. Why did it suck? Tell me. Don't hide. I don't want to not know that. Or tell me it was amazing if that's really your experience, right? But I want honest feedback. I want to build honest relationships. I'm sitting here on the screen coming onto shows, and it's like, I don't get paid for this. I'm doing this because you reached out to me and I thought that was amazing and I was grateful. You have a cool show, and I got to now meet you and learn about you through listening to a few of your episodes and becoming a fan of your show. I get to meet your audience and expose myself to them and them to me and build my network the same way. It happens in the real life, in the real rooms too. Like when you go to these events, if you do go to Ryan's event or any event, go there with an open mind to build value and make new friends, build real relationships. From the person sitting next to you to the person on stage, everybody's there for a reason. I mean, sure, listen, some of us get paid to speak, so it's a job, but that doesn't mean that we don't like being there as well. We don't want to meet the people. We don't want to get involved with you in your life and in business, because I learn from everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't have all the answers. And so I think that it's the mindset of when you do these things. And I think if you are you're intimidated because you're second guessing it in your head, go up there and say, hi, my name's Jeff. I'm just a fan of yours and I wanted to come and meet you. That's all I would say.
Yeah.
Well, then Jeff, what do you do?
You're exactly right, man. People get in their heads, and it's, as an author, you're an author, best-selling author, as an entrepreneur, somebody that started businesses, and somebody that has just this drive to help others. It is so amazing when someone comes up and says, that thing you did, that thing you put out there, it really made a difference. You really, because I don't know if you're like this, but everybody's got a little bit of insecurity, and you sometimes have this doubt of, I'm doing all this effort, I'm putting this information out there. Is it really even helping someone? Is it really getting to somebody? And it's so nice and refreshing when someone comes up and says, yeah, that thing you did, that really helped me out. Either whether it's a social media post or whether it's somebody read my book or they took one of the classes or whatever, it really makes a difference. And I found that most people feel the same way.
I absolutely do. I mean, I do a broadcast on my Instagram, and I only have a couple hundred. I have a couple hundred people who follow it. It's not a big following at all. I just started it, and I don't get much feedback from it. But anyway, I'm having a bad day, and I got a message from a woman, and she's like, Jeff, I just want to thank you for that inspiring words. I lost my father last week, and what you wrote that day was exactly what I needed to hear. Like, she gave me a little story. I don't know her. She just sent me a message. I don't make any money from it. And I can be honest with you, it made my week. I mean, that right there inspired me to do more and help more, because I actually impacted somebody in a positive way that I'm never going to meet in person. And at that point, I think we all need that. We all have insecurities. We all like to know that the effort we're putting into whatever we're doing is working or it's helping somebody. Because when you've achieved a level of financial success, which if you haven't achieved it, I understand that's your first primary focus. And I would agree. You have to make a lot of money. But once you've made a lot of money, the number one thing that inspires and fulfills is helping other people and watching the impact you can have. And that's why philanthropy is such an amazing thing. So for myself, like, having impact is so important that if I never get to hear that I'm having any impact, I'm always second guessing. Because does anyone care? Am I even doing a good job? Am I helping anybody? If not, I want to change my message. I want to change the way I'm doing it to make sure that I am helping people.
Yeah. Well, and you're so right. Like this, you've been right literally this whole episode. I love it. When you go into making an impact, and people online especially, they have this idea that they have to reach millions of people. But like you just said, you don't have a huge following by the social media standard. But the way I look at that is, you have a couple hundred people on this channel. Those are 200 lives that you're touching and improving potentially, that maybe wouldn't have any other resource to be touched or improved. And every person I've heard that every person knows that or can impact 1,000 people, or they generally do in their daily life. So if you really look at that and you say 200 times 1,000, all of a sudden you're impacting, which I don't even know what that is, a couple hundred or 1,000 people. Or is that 2 million? Not even 200 times 1,000. But anyway, the point is that you're impacting hundreds of thousands of people by proxy, and they might not ever see you, but that lady, you changed her day, which impacted people in her life. And kudos to you, man, for doing that and building the network, even if it is a couple hundred. And when I put posts out there, when I see, it reached, a couple hundred people, it's like, well, those are 200 people that maybe needed help that day. Maybe they saw it. Maybe it helped them. And so it means a lot. So everybody needs to know.
Because I just want to hit one point on that, like on Instagram, my friends have millions of followers. I have like 80,000, right? 80,000 humans is a huge amount of people. And I look at it like, I have 80,000 people I can touch. Now, a lot of them just hit follow. The broadcast is even more intimate, right? Like now it's like me speaking to them. And it's only a couple hundred. But even get granular. I only know of one human that I impacted, from 80,000 down to a couple hundred in this smaller group, and now one who actually responded. Guess what? That one just gave me all the fuel I need to go do this for another year.
That's awesome.
Next year, if it's 2, I'll be doing this for the next 2 years, right? If I can truly impact one human a year, I mean, that's incredible impact, because you're changing lives. And I think we struggle in this vanity world of numbers, where it's like, if I don't have 2 million followers, you don't need 2 million followers. You don't get paid off. People just hit a button and they don't even see it. We all have it. Look how many people you follow. How many of their feeds do you actually see? A very small subset. So get connected more personally. And that's why I like this broadcast channel, because it's a more intimate relationship versus this shotgun 80,000 Instagram.
Yeah. Tony Robbins says that a lot. people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they could do in a lifetime. If you find your purpose and you really live that purpose and you continue doing that thing and act on the things that give you the highest, reward emotionally and internally, you'd be surprised how many lives you can impact over a lifetime. It's like that. What is that movie? It's a Christmas movie, where he says, "What do you want the moon, Alice? I'll rope it and pull it down to you." What is?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do know. I can see.
Anyway, where he acts like, or he wishes he was never born, and then he goes into this time where basically he wasn't, and how that impacted everything and everyone around him. My wife would know. That's why my wife is my other brain, man. She knows all that stuff. Anyway, so you make more difference and more impact than you think you do is the main idea. So everyone that's listening to this, download Jeff's Network to Millions playbook. It's totally free. It's very short. It's very condensed, but man, it's very impactful. Go purchase his book. I just did not too long ago. It's coming in in just a few days. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to read that, implement it into my life. I'm always looking on ways I can improve and expand. You can go to download that Network to Millions playbook. If I could talk right, text Jeff to 33777 or go to jefffinster.com. You can click any of the links that we have here and make sure that you follow him in his world, man. He's a great guy. Looking forward to building relationship and adding value to you over the next, who knows, couple decades, hopefully. So Jeff, appreciate you being on. Any final thoughts for anybody? Anything that you'd like to just final and, just in impactful words, if you will?
Yeah. Listen, if you're not where you want to be, don't worry. Start to emulate the successful people in the area that you want success. So if you don't have the financial means yet, look for some people that have achieved it in a similar industry or doing it in a similar way and mirror what they have done to be successful. Success is formulaic. We can all achieve that level of success. You do not need any special resources or special relationships or be born into a special area. You can have absolutely nothing today, and in 365 days from now, you can have everything you've ever dreamed of and more. It's just a matter of understanding that formula and getting after it, listening to podcasts just like the one you're listening to right now, and being around people that are there. So get out there into events, start networking, start making friends with as many people as you can. And if you still aren't achieving it, hit me up. I'm happy to help you.
Man, that's awesome. Jeff, appreciate you, man. I'm like I said, looking forward to this. This has been another episode of Fix Your Belief Systems, where we talk about 5 major pillars: relationships, career, faith, health, and finances. And Jeff fits that every single category. Looking forward to seeing you in October, and looking forward to seeing the podcast that you're putting out. Really appreciate you being here. And everyone, go and click on everything that's below so you can download all the free resources, purchase his book, get into his world, and he's going to help you out. Thanks again. Appreciate you. Until next time, this has been Fix Your BS, where we talk about belief systems so you can build the life of your dreams on your terms. Till next time.